going on, everyone? And welcome to Around the Metaverse, our weekly show. We bring together some of the best content creators from the Web3 gaming community, talk about all the recent news, and give you guys everything you need to know to stay up to date. My name's Adam. I'll be your host today, but more importantly, as always, we've got a great group of guests for y'all. First and foremost, we've got CryptoStache in the house. How's it going, Stash? I mean, we out here, right? Coming
That's
off
deep.
your, yeah,
Yeah, we're out here. We're doing it. It's Monday.
coming off your fresh win from Illuvium earlier.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Coming off a fresh win from my Illuvium disc battles against Bryson the Evil. And I took him down. Agent Stash the Righteous took him down. Yeah. It was fun. It was cool. It's a random thing. I mean, that's it. To be perfectly honest, it's kind of
Already,
like
you guys were in your,
it's
were in
all
your
skill.
favor.
It's all skill,
Yeah,
baby. Classy over here boasting the highest score in the battles. I tried to take him down, but
all skill. All
Yeah,
skill
I'm not
and
gonna
Class is the
lie. I
best.
was on the chat and people were rooting for Bryson. In fact, Inspector Mindblow, my opponent last time, came on and said that Stash was trash, but kind of humbled him a little bit. I was like, the Mega Stash was gonna come out, and I mean, look at this man, beautiful
represent.
stash.
Yep,
Well, yeah.
represented.
For those who I'm sure know already, we got Classy Crypto in the house. Classy Crypto Gaming, also AKA. How's it going, man? Happy to have you back on the show again.
Big vibers, big vibers. It's happy to be here again. I think we're gonna have an interesting conversation. I think the people are gonna be pretty hyped to see what we talk about because there's some interesting stuff here.
Yeah, a lot going on, man. I mean, we're going to be talking about some Web 2 stuff. We're going to be talking about some Web 3 stuff. There's a whole lot going on that you guys might not know about if you haven't been paying attention. But we've got some returning faces and some new faces as well. We've got Savage Santi, another GIA senior agent and content creator. How's it going, Savage? Good to have you back.
Hey, it's going great. Thanks for having me back. I can't wait to talk about these topics. I love Web 2 and I love Web 3. So this is right up my alley.
Hell yeah, man. Let's get into it. And then last but certainly not least, we've got a new face on the show. We've got Rustin. Is it Cavel? Am I pronouncing it right? Cavel? Okay, good. Head or formerly head of content or creator relations at Gala, and now working on a new startup. It's still in Web3 that is in seek stealth mode. So keep an eye on his socials that are linked in below, and hopefully soon we'll know more. How's it going, Rustin?
Yeah, going well. Thanks so much for having me on. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, man. And then for those watching, before we hop into things, don't forget to hit subscribe and like on the video if you're not doing that already. Help show the YouTube algorithm who's boss. But we've got a jam-packed show for you guys. We're going to be talking about a huge Web 2 game or game development company that is behind EVE Online. Coming into Web 3 here with an announcement that they just got funded a ton of money. And they're going to be working on a Web 3 game in the same universe. We're going to be talking about Sky Mavis and if they can make a comeback here with the Ronin blockchain. And maybe we'll see what Axie Infinity can do here too in the future. I want to get your guys' opinions on that. And then last, we're going to be talking about if E3 is dead. So I don't know if you guys saw, but E3, it had been kind of canceled and on the back burner for a while ever since COVID. But this was the first year it was supposed to happen again as an actual in-person event. And they recently announced that the whole thing was canceled because a bunch of people pulled out. And I want to see if E3 is dead and some Web3 conferences that have been going on and are planned for the future might be taking their spot. But let's dive right into things. First and foremost, with EVE Online possibly coming to Web3 or definitely coming to Web3 with an announcement that CCP, the game development company behind EVE Online, one of the biggest space-themed MMOs of all time. I mean, it's been around for 20 years. Uh, is coming.
The
Basically got
biggest.
basically got funded with $40 million from A16Z, and I think some other maybe smaller funding got put in there from other places as well. But they're going to be developing an entirely new blockchain game that's set in the same universe as EVE Online. Now, it's supposedly not going to be an actual extension of the actual EVE Online game as you know it today. Who knows if it's actually going to be an MMO? I'm not even sure if they specified that, but it will be set in the same universe. So, I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on what this means, seeing a big developer like this make an official announcement as we've continued to see them. Stash, let me ask you first, man. Do you think this is significant to see CCP and EVE Online, or at least the universe of EVE Online, coming into Web3?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is big, man. You know, like you said, Eve has been the MMO, right? I mean, the space MMO forever. So when you talk about building an MMO or anything space themed, Eve has to be in the conversation, right? So to have them come on board and say, "Hey, you know, we're going to give this a shot. We're going to check out using Web3 tech in our latest game." And I mean, it's even bigger than them just saying we're going to check it out and start using it. We've seen a lot of other development studios do that, right? We've seen Ubisoft do it. We've seen Square Enix do it now. We're seeing, Sony coming on board. We're seeing a lot of studios coming on board saying, yes, we're going to start using NFTs or Web3 technology. But CCP goes even further. They say, hey, no, we're actually going to be incorporating this into a game that is in the same world as our big hit, right? As EVE Online. So, I mean, I don't see how it couldn't be a multiplayer game and some sort of weird extension, right? Maybe it's like an alternate universe. That'd be kind of an interesting way of doing something like that, right? It's like this alternate, mirror universe or something. They haven't released a lot of details. We know that, right? So right now we're just speculating, but there is a lot of really cool ways that you could incorporate this into the universe and still make it feel like something significant and not just tacking it onto EVE Online, but then also not something completely separate. And I think that's the big thing here, right? That's the big takeaway, is that it's not something completely separate, which like, oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, oh great, yeah. This is something that is going to be connected to EVE Online in some sort of way. That's big. So it won't be the main game. We know that, okay, but having the company on board and wanting to explore that, I think could be huge because there's massive economies inside of Eve, and if those could be tokenized in some sort of way, or the markets or things can be helped by using blockchain technology to kind of track things, I think that'd be great. I think it'd be great.
Well, yeah, and hopefully it's no Web3 DLC, right? Not just like some Eve Online clone with like what Diablo Immortal is to the Diablo franchise, right? With just like blockchain thrown in there, but
Yeah, that's
so
what I'm saying. Yeah, hopefully, yeah. It's not like, and I don't think they would do that. I think that this is kind of a little bit of a bigger thing, and I think they're going to make something that's going to be kind of connected in some sort of way. But yeah, you're right, not part of the main experience.
And yeah, so it's according to them, production on a new title, and this is going to be dubbed Project Awakening, but set in the
Mhm.
same world as Eve Online. And for those of you out there who are Eve Online viewers, keep an eye on that Project Awakening because they hopefully will be releasing some more information about that soon. But I want to speculate on if it is an MMO, because that seems to be like the area in Web3 that I feel like we're like the furthest behind. Like we're making some good strides in
Yeah.
areas, but like
Well,
a solid well, yeah, well.
no, it makes. I mean, it has to be. I mean, like if you think about it, right, guys? MMOs just take a
Mhm.
long ass time. So of course we're the farthest behind in it being a MMO use case. And there's some of the hardest things to be adopted over time too, right? Like they take a long time to build, and then it's also really hard to get like a good solid community around an MMO that will stick around and play it for a long time.
Well, yeah, not only that, I mean, with an MMO, my fear is like, will it be possible, like will adding blockchain actually make it beneficial like for the development company and make it worth their time to build out the game economy in the same way that they do previously? I mean, Rustin, what's your opinion, man? Like, do you think a Web3 MMO is going to work? Like, will development companies be able to build out an in-game economy that has real world value tied to it and not have it kind of get out of control and ruin the game?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. MMOs are complex, not just from the development standpoint, but from an economic standpoint. So I take a bit of a contrarian view on tokenize, like tokens directly within games. I wrote an article a couple months ago, kind of outlining some of my thoughts on this, and I think it's really going to be about the implementation. Because like if we think about traditional MMOs, traditional games, they can crash their economies all the time without it affecting their user base. So if they need to just inflate their in-game currency in order to be able to attract users or change feature sets and things like that, then they can do so. If they need to just remove a bunch from circulation, they can just a few taps of a database and do so as well. And so whenever you actually tokenize currencies that are used inside the game, it becomes extremely complex because you don't have those same mechanisms of control. And so you have to be extremely intentional and thoughtful about the approach to actually implementing the tokens. And so, kind of my thesis is a hybrid approach. I believe that NFTs make a ton of sense within video games. The tokens or the in-game currencies, I'm not sure. I think that there are ways to be able to have tokens inside of games, but maybe have some kind of mechanism in between, like an in-game currency and a token itself. And then that allows the developer to change what the, I guess, exchange would be, or exchange rate between like an in-game currency and a tokenized version of it. I think
Mhm.
that that might be more simple for the developers long term because you really run the risk of really hurting the economy and your user base if you really mess up on economics early on.
Well, yeah, you think about like any times that's happened in like game like WoW and how hard it is for them to recover, not with those elements tied to the game, and how hard it would be with blockchain tied into its stash. Were you about to say something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, you make a great point there, Rustin. With the economy like that, I think that it's important to note, like, yeah, if you screwed up from the beginning, that's it, man. You may have screwed it
Genie's
up
out of the
for
bottle.
you may have screwed it up forever. The genie is out of the bottle, like I said here earlier. Uh, you know, but the good thing about it though is that Eve, this company, right, CCP, they have such a long time running Eve and managing that digital economy. I mean, that, like, if you think about it, if anyone's going to do it and do it successfully, they have the best chance, right? They know how to fine tune an economy, keep it
Mhm.
going for a long time. That's the type of people I think that are going to make a great MMO.
Yeah, and I mean, particularly in their case, like because it's been around for so long, they're already in Web 2, like third-party
Mhm.
marketplaces set up around the game where
Yeah.
I'm sure I mean, hopefully at least the developers at CCP are, I'm sure they are aware of it, but like, I hope they would be considering like how that ties, that existing and how it ties into what they're doing with this new game. Savage, let me ask you, man. I mean, like, what sort of challenges do you think that they're going to have to like overcome in building this new Web3 game, particularly for like, you know, choosing a blockchain or like deciding how to market to like the Web3 community or their own, their own player base, and
Mhm.
vice versa.
Honestly, they're obviously gonna have a lot of challenges. I think for the most part, they're gonna know what they're doing because they have a ton of experience. I started playing that game when I was 20 years old, and had a lot of fun with it. I still play it every now and then, but the thing is they do a lot more right than they get wrong. So I think that the challenges that they do face, they'll be able to squash. And I think the biggest thing for them is making a game that has plenty of content because if it is an MMO, MMOs need content and content that people want to do. Because if no one wants to play your game, it doesn't matter, whose name is on it. That game will fade very fast. So I think we've all seen thousands or hundreds of thousands of games that have just, are just gone now. I mean, think of the 20-year history of Eve. How many titles came up and are gone now?
Mhm.
You know, Age of Conan, gone, Rift, gone. There's tons of games that are just gone that were supposed to be great,
There's
and
there's a there's a whole graveyard that we could
it's a
walk through.
lot.
There's like a whole
Yeah.
graveyard of
Well, they
games.
were good, and that's the thing, man. Is that, like, games
Mhm.
are good? It's just like, man, I look at it just like TV series. There's some TV series, and they're like, man, they're so good, but then sometimes they get to be such a hit, and then they're like, how do we end it? We want to keep going because it's such a hit. Keep more seasons, and then they get to a point where, like, it's just everything's all jumbled because it just kept trying to go, and there was not, like, you kept beating this dead horse, and it's like if you
Mhm.
had just ended it at the right perfect time and just said boom and left it there, like a work of art. And I think it's a lot of times where these expressive, creative endeavors miss the mark sometimes, is they don't understand, like, these creative endeavors, yeah, they're games, yeah, we play them, but they are a creative endeavor, and there is a life cycle for these things.
That's true.
And that's the same thing with games, and we see, like, really great games come, people play them, they're amazing, boom, they fall out of favor for the next thing, and then they're gone. And maybe they're gone, gone for good, who knows. Like some of these multiplayer ones in particular, like live service games, it happens to quite often.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think Eve Online's been around long enough where, like you've all said, hopefully they're going to be doing something pretty, like they're going to be doing a good job with this next one. And like, Classy, I want to get your opinion on this. You look at like all of the major MMOs that came out and like are still around with some popularity today, like World of Warcraft, Genshin Impact is super big, Final Fantasy is super big, Eve Online, of course. Do you think that like when do you think we're going to get to a point where the next major MMO comes out like World of Warcraft when they had news article when it makes CNN and they're saying your kids shouldn't be playing this, like when are we gonna get a Web3 game that hits that mark, or like how far out are we on that, do you think?
Well, I mean, we've got to think about the fact that I mean, I remember watching a KG video back in the day where you could earn money playing Rust or something like that. More than likely, that's where we're headed first in terms of MMOs. I know that, I'm pretty big on Terra Luna Classic, and at some point, one of our big economics guys went over to Mojang and Minecraft, and then they were going over to RuneScape and Jagex, and Jagex was kind of like, "We'll look into it, but we're not too sure about this thing." And I think that's the problem in terms of regulations. We've got no idea where the heck we're going over the next year or two. I would say probably either a company integrates itself into a MMO and then just gives people the opportunity to earn instead of having a black market, which pretty much every game has, to be honest, in an MMO. Or it's just going to be like, okay, this Web3 MMO comes out. It has an untested economy and hopefully it goes well. Cross your fingers, kind of like Axie Infinity.
Hmm.
Until that happens, until an MMO fails or succeeds, that's gonna be kind of the limelight. Because if it works, then every other MMO is gonna be like, okay, I'm comfortable with tokens now, or I'm comfortable with NFTs. Let's go ahead and go for it. But if it doesn't work, it's kind of like what Stash was saying before, and the whole graveyard narrative, where it's cool if a game works and it's cool if we go Ready Player One, but all of a sudden, if it doesn't work, then billions of dollars are lost in an ecosystem. It's not a joke. So I'd rather us fail a couple times and figure it out before somebody goes crazy on an MMO to do it.
Billions of user dollars too.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
user dollars is the
Follow the
key there
money,
also.
baby.
Well, the
Follow the
company's gonna be all
money.
right, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, at least the people if the company dissolves, I'm sure at least the people there at the top,
Yeah, they'll be all
traditionally
right.
as it's gone in previous cases, they tend to do all right, regardless. But I think Eve Online, it's going to be interesting to see what they release when they do, because like we already have some competition, and if it's set in the same universe, in Web3, like what I wonder what Star Atlas has to say about this. Like I'm sure they are
That I'd be a
looking at
little nervous,
this.
probably.
Yeah, I'm sure they're looking at this and like, oh shit,
Eve, don't
man,
steal our shtick.
Mhm.
like we better kick it into high gear and get our shit together. And not to say that they don't, of course they do. um but like they want, I'm sure they want to beat out Eve. Of course they want to beat out Eve, and hopefully we'll see this bring some good competition to what they're building right now. But speaking of things that might return from the grave, as people have said about Star Atlas. Let's move on to our next topic here, talking about something else that I think some people have some mixed opinions on, and that's Sky Mavis and the newest addition to the Ronin network, and the newest external game outside of Sky Mavis that they're bringing onto Ronin network. And for those of you who aren't up to speed on this, Sky Mavis is the company behind Axie Infinity. They created their own layer 2 for Ethereum specifically for Axie Infinity initially, called Ronin Network. They said it was going to be something that brought on other games. They even held like a accelerator program for some games that were going to be coming on, kind of through their own community. That didn't really pan out too well. But now they actually have a game that's going to be onboarded and working on the Ronin Network called the Machines Arena. Yeah, the Machines
Mhm.
Arena. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Um, and I want to get your guys' opinion on if this is gonna, we talked about this before, but is this gonna be the turning point for Sky Mavis? Are they coming back? Is this what's gonna bring everyone to Ronin Network? Everyone maybe back to Axie Infinity somehow? I don't know. I want to get your guys' opinions on it. Classy, let me start with you this time, man. I mean, do you think that Sky Mavis is ever gonna make a comeback in the way that they did with Axie? Like, is this is bringing on the Machines Arena and say maybe other external games going to help with the situation they're in?
Okay. So I've been pretty extensive about this. Sky Mavis doesn't like me too much, but I will say I love MOBAs. And I love MOBAs that it can encapsulate players and be complex enough where there's upgrades and there's all these different things you have to do. The Machines Arena is a little bit simple, but I do think by far it's the best game they have. It's not even close. And we can all agree that there's a couple other games that are coming out. They have a really small pool for their actual grants program. Somehow they're making it work. That I feel like if it probably won't be Axie Infinity level, but absolutely that ecosystem is going to survive. Like it's going to survive. Maybe not Axie Infinity, but I know that the other games are actually kind of fire. And I've played the Machines Arena. I've had fun playing it. I was a league challenger. So if I enjoyed it, I'm sure other people that like MOBAs will enjoy it.
Mhm. And I'll say this too, like I think too, you're right there that it probably is the best like actual game that is available currently over on Roner Network. I mean, but I'll say
I
this.
mean, not
There's
a
not too
hard
much competition.
competition to win.
Well, yeah, but I see, like, I feel like it's just different
5
styles. Like
games.
some people
You
that
know,
isn't like that isn't really the style of game for some people. Like, I can see how some people would argue otherwise and say that they like Axie over that game just because of just because of like player's choice, player opinion. I don't know, man. Not my opinion personally, but I'm sure there are some out there that feel that way. All right, Stats. Let me hear what you have to say about it, then, man. Like, what do you think about the Machines Arena and what
Let me go
Sky
get
Mavis
my
is doing?
Let me go get my gas can. Hold on. Let me get the gas can. Uh, nah, I honestly, man, it looks good. I actually downloaded. I haven't had a chance to jump in and play the game, but just the gameplay footage that I saw, it looks like really solid. I think this is more of a boon in the fact that here's how I'm going to call it, right? Axie Infinity is a network looking to attract developers to their network, having some sort of grants or being able to give some money to these developers that want to do something here. I think that they got a good, kind of what do you call it? Like a good amount of promotion to people out there as the whole Ronin network thing was going on. Axie was kind of winding down what's so popular, but then Ronin gets hacked. I think that there have been there was enough interest, is what I'm saying, even between all these things, for them to get at least one quality thing, right? They have enough money to attract it. They have enough, kind of clout still to attract it, and they did. They landed at something that looks actually pretty solid. So, I mean, is this going to be the savior for Axie? No, hell no. Axie's dead. That game is donezo, man. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just not a good game. Does that mean Ronin Network is going to go away? I mean, maybe, probably not. But is it going to be, like at this point, like how far behind are they in comparison to all these other similar networks?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to be developing a game and I'm going to need to choose a network, am I choosing like a ZK EVM from Polygon Immutable or a Ronin Network? ZK EVM, Ronin. ZK EVM, Ronin. ZK EVM, man. I mean, I'm just, I'm sorry, but like, that's just where it's at. Like, why would you choose to build on Ronin Network, man? Like something that was just like already proven unstable. Maybe they've come back, sure. But with a team, there's so many things. Like, why would you just start off right there? Like, that's where you're starting off.
$600 million.
Where's
$650 million?
Remember when Ronin launched? Where's Kagi with like Ronin to $5 or like whatever?
Let's go the Ron boy.
Tough.
Yeah, the
was
Ron
tough.
Rocket, the Ron Rocket. No, but I completely agree with you there, and Rustin, that's what I wanted to ask you, man. Like, why? Like, if you're a business right now looking to, or a game development company looking to kind of looking to partner with a blockchain, I mean, obviously the choice is not Ronin right now. I mean, if you look at what Polygon and Immutable just worked on and announced together, in my opinion, that's the obvious choice for anyone looking to do anything right now. But like, what is Sky Mavis going to need to continue to do to make them competitive with someone like Immutable or Polygon?
I think it's going to be really tough. They have just some really, really deep scars. And then I'm sure that they just spent a ton of time trying to heal those scars to get to this point. And so in I guess the industry that we're in, right, things move so quickly that we're starting to see ZK L1s starting to prop up, right? And it's really, really difficult, I think, to build network effects on kind of older tech. Like, just echoing what you said, if you're a developer, like, are you going to something that's newer or something that had some fatal errors in the past? Um, there's got to be something to attract developers beyond just cash, um, because like the technology, the L1 doesn't make a game, but it can certainly break it. Like if we take some examples from traditional gaming, the game No Man's Sky, it's one of my favorites.
Also a good
They
game.
hyped up just, this incredible game, and then whenever it released, a lot of people were really disappointed. Now, since then, they've released something like 15 DLCs for the title, and it's met expectations and more. Like I give huge props to that team for turning that around. But did they ever recover from a sentiment standpoint? No. And so I think it's one of those things that when you are building infrastructure that has millions or billions of dollars that is layered upon it, it's really, really difficult to overcome those scars. You have to be either spending an enormous amount of money, which you may never see return, or you have to do something that no one else is doing and provide value to those developers in a unique way. Just from my past at Gala, that's something that they did super well in supporting the developers that were building on the chain, right? So I don't know. I think it's going to be very, very difficult. I personally don't see it coming back, but that's just me.
Well, yeah. So, not financial advice, guys. Right? Nothing here. Don't stake any
No,
claim
no.
on.
Here, look. Let me tell you, financial advice, guys. Look. Go out. Look. Okay, we're making a game, guys. It's going on Ethereum Classic. All right. Here's the pitch. I'm gonna build it on Ethereum Classic. All right. Everyone's in, right? Sounds
Everyone's
good.
in. Yep. Or what's like Digital Capital Group or something like that? Just like owns all the supply or whatever it is. I don't know. No, but Savage, let me ask you, dude. I mean, like, if you were in Sky Mavis's position, like, what do you think they should have done better to maybe not have found themselves where they are? I mean, aside from letting the second largest, or maybe the largest. No, was it the wormhole was the largest, or was Ronin the largest? But I don't know. One of the two
Ronan was the
largest
largest hack.
hacks that have ever happened in the history of Ethereum, go down.
Yeah, I definitely would have had all that secure because something like that. It's going to be really hard for me to want to put my money on the Ronin network now, or ever again. And if I do, it's going to be a specific amount to get the asset that I want, and that's it. No more, no less. But even doing that, I'm just going to be skeptical unless they come out with something really, really killer that I would really want to risk my money on. I'm just kind of out on them until they show me something great. And this MOBA does sound really cool, but I still want to see more. I want to see where it goes and how it gets adopted before I jump back in because the whole fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, or no, fool me whatever. You know the saying, right? I'm
Fool me
just not
once,
gonna.
shame on you.
Yeah,
Fool me twice, shame on me. I
there
think
you
that's
go.
how it goes.
There you go. So I don't know. I'm a little more skeptical with my money and I try to keep my crypto as safe as possible.
Yeah, man. Especially now, I feel like you got to have everything, the big bags locked up on a hardware wallet, and if that's not only not a lot of ammo that could just be spent by a hacker if they take over your stuff. Um, but no, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen with Sky Mavis, man. Hopefully, like I would love to see them turn things around and
Mhm.
have Ronin like next bull run. Ronin, it'd be like a top. Imagine Ronin a top 10 coin on Coin Market Cap. Like,
I mean, okay, so look, it's not going to be a top 10 coin for sure, but it's not going to not pump, right? So
Right.
if you think about like it's like, oh man, like it's not going to, I mean, in a bull market it's going to. I mean, let's just be perfectly
Mhm.
honest, does that mean that there's value there? I mean, we see a lot of shit ass coins pumping during a bull market, man, so
yes.
100%.
Speaking of shit ass coins pumping, I'm sure if you guys didn't see out there, the Twitter.
Doge to the
Yeah, no. Is this guys? Wait,
moon.
is this the start of the bull run? Or isn't that
This is
like what
it.
happened last time?
Doge is kicking the bull run off again.
Yeah, again, again. No, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe things seem to this market sentiment seems to not be super terrible right now. But I mean, no one. I don't have a crystal ball here, so I can't see the future, right? But ooh, no, no. But what I do know for sure is that there will be another bull run at some point, and I think probably Ronan will, like you said, pump because they have Sky Mavis incentivized to market it to do so, right? And the addition of
A lot
the
of
machines arena.
fanboys.
Well, yeah, and the addition to the machine arena is the first step for them in this in moving forward with what they have and what they're going to plan on doing. So I'm sure we'll see them again and continuously throughout this next bull run once we get it. But I want to get your guys' opinions on our next topic here, with a little bit of a spin on a Web 2 story that some of you gamers out there might already be familiar with. That the fact, I mean, it had already not happened for several years, but E3 it was going to be happening again this year and is now officially canceled. And they can't, well, they didn't come out officially with the statement saying this, but rumors are that the main reason that it got canceled again was because first off, they didn't land many of the like big publishers like Nintendo, Ubisoft, like a bunch of these companies already weren't planning on coming. And basically, what happened is a bunch of the other developers and were starting to pull out, and E3 was like, "We're not going to be able to put on the show that we wanted to give you guys. Scrap the whole thing. Shut it down. Screw it. It's off." And I want to get your guys' opinions on why this is, particularly because like I think a lot of people were excited for it this year. I know Stash, you had a ticket, didn't you? Well, not I mean not anymore. Yeah, so guys, Stash has got
Not
an E3
anymore.
ticket. It's on eBay. You want a ticket to E3 2023? Hit up Stash's eBay.
No, I was excited, because this is the first year actually I ever got a media pass. So before, like they, like you said, they because of COVID they haven't been doing them the last few years. But this was the first year that I actually applied to get a media pass, and I got one.
Mhm.
Sad, sad face.
Well, and yeah,
Mm.
so in lieu of that happening, we're actually seeing a few other events happening and scheduled for this year, and in kind of a similar theme. We actually have a Web3 native. I mean, we've already had a couple events happen. We have the Dead Drop event. We just had Outer Edge NFTLA, which isn't a gaming one. Um, there was something in Spain that just recently happened, a whole tournament. I forget the name of that one. And now this next one that's going to be coming up is called 3XP, put on by a bunch of the folks over at Community Gaming. I think a bunch of different people. Community Gaming, um, Community 7, or I don't know, but one of the main people is Community Gaming. We love the folks over there. I want to get your guys' opinions on the possible advantage that they have now that E3 isn't happening. If some people who were planning on going to that might go to this. Savage, let me ask you. I mean, do you think do you think that the big game development companies are going to continue to stop like putting on these big trade shows and pulling out in the way that they did for E3 and in lieu of doing like streams and things like that?
Absolutely not. I think this is just like a bump in the road. We know that what we went through the last few years didn't help anybody's situation as far as like gatherings go. But we're gonna see things turn around probably when the economy actually kind of starts cranking back up in the other direction. I think some companies are just trying to save money so they can survive and get through. I mean, I think we've all taken a hit, no matter how big or small of a fish you are. So I think Comic Cons and things like that will continue. This is just a bump in the road. Maybe E3 just needs to innovate a little more. I know Asmongold does like a video game thing that he does and showcases games, and that goes off and it's just massive. So if he can do it, I don't see why E3 is struggling so hard, but maybe they just need to talk to Asmongold. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. Was the One True Kings event? I think wasn't that just a stream too recently, or was I mean, it might have been like a select showing with, a few like tickets to it, but I don't know that it was the same scale that you
Right.
see E3 normally is, or something like I don't know. Actually, I don't think they've had it. I'm not up to date on if they had it or not, but like BlizzCon, I know was like BlizzCon was like a huge thing. Like people from around the world came to that shit. I mean, same with
Absolutely.
E3, same with all these different conferences compared to like, I think One True Kings is like probably more of a local event, and then people tune in for the stream, which is I think why we're probably not going to see so many conferences because it's just so easy and you can involve more people probably by focusing on delivering through a stream compared to wasting a bunch of money on a trade show,
That's a
or
good
a big
point.
conference and things like that.
Hmm.
Classy, let me ask you. I mean, like, do you think there's an opportunity now that E3 is canceled, and we're probably going to see this trend continue where Web 2 companies and create or you know entertainment companies, I guess, or event planning companies aren't putting on events? Do you think there's an opportunity now for, say, smaller Web 3 native events to take their place, like 3XP?
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer really lies into the fact that I mean, there's a lot of games that don't have proper funding and are probably going to fail. But I mean, there was billions of dollars that came into our industry. We're flooded with money right now. We haven't tapped into too much of it, but it's there. We know it's there. And I don't know if I can say the same story with the regular gaming companies. I mean, there was a huge flood of money coming into Web 3. You even saw the Eve Online stuff. We don't know if they're really excited about Web 3 or if they're just excited to tap into the crypto money, right? That's just a question we all have to ask ourselves. So 100%, I mean, we're going into it. There's a reason Sony's going into this stuff. There's a ton of money. It's lucrative. It balances both parties out. I'm going to be at the Community Gaming 3XP event. Stash is going to be there. We're all going to be there. It's going to be a ton of fun. I think the bigger question is whether or not they're even worth doing,
Hmm.
because that's a big question. I think in terms of gamers and exposure, probably not worth it. But in terms of getting investors and other gaming companies and partnerships, that's where it's invaluable, because you can only have so much of a connection with someone in person versus
Hmm.
not in person. It's drastically different. So I definitely think that it's going to continue on. Web 3's been always about the whole like WAGMI community feel, and we've got the money to do it. So if Web 2 is not going to do it, we're going to do it for sure.
Yeah, so 3XP folks, man, you heard it right from Classy's mouth. That event
I'm
better
showing
be,
you, yeah.
yeah, better slap. It better be lit
How much
over
they
there.
pay you, man? How much they pay you?
We got the Scrooge McDuck money coming in for 3XP, man.
I'm
No,
looking
but
forward to it. Yeah.
I mean, you bring up a good point, man, and that's what I wanted to ask you, Rustin. Is like, do you actually think there's any? I mean, with where we're at with streaming and things like that, and the way communities get together in Discord even today, or Twitter Spaces. I mean, do you think that there is even still value in having in-person events like E3?
I don't know. I think it really depends on what type of value you're looking to either host or derive from it. So I've been to a few PAX events. I went to GDC last year, a couple of other Web3 events last year as well. Um, the energy that you get at those events, like meeting people in person, is unrivaled. Like the connections that you make, the people that you speak to. I've never really derived a ton of value from them from like scoping out games though. Um, and I think that a lot of companies don't really see the value in continuing to expend a lot of dollars in hosting those when they can just go direct so easily. Like, look at how popular the Nintendo Directs have become, and they do just an exceptional job. Because if I'm a publisher with multiple titles, or I have something that I know is going to be a hit, why would I want to share attention with 100 other people? Like I want all of those eyeballs on me, right? In that case, Apple did the same with like their own products. They host their own keynotes and things like that. And I think that some of the larger players in the gaming industry will start to do that as well. I think it just really depends. It really depends on the purpose for going.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I guess you actually just reminded me, that we've already seen that too to some degree, with like in Web 3 with Galaverse. I mean, like you said, just you know, only the spot. Why have share the limelight with a room full of people, or a room full of other projects, when you could just get everyone in your corner and give them all the good stuff direct. And I think that's a good point. And we'll probably start to or continue to see more of that, particularly with Web 2 companies, and even more in Web 3. But like Classy said, I feel like the wag me, right? Like everyone likes to get together in Web 3, and you got your internet friends that you've been working with for like a year now or whatever it's been, or however long you've been working with whoever you're meeting up with at the conference. And there's just something special about that normally. Stash, let me ask you. I mean, like, do you think that is this it for E3? I mean, is this it? Like, do you think that we're only going to see manufacturers or publishers doing their own conferences from now on, or events, or is there going to be anything like E3 ever again?
I don't know. This is it for E3. I think E3 was already kind of declining, you know, and so this kind of happens with events that kind of rise up to be the like predominant events. After a certain amount of time, they start to kind of get stale. They don't innovate. They just kind of keep the same thing coming time and time again, and people you get in a rhythm, right? And that's a dangerous thing as an event producer for a large scale long term event like this, is getting into this kind of rhythm of just like, all right, we're doing this every year, just like clockwork. And that does leave a hole for someone new to come in and fill and say, yes, we're going to do something cool and different. We're going to do it like this and try something else, just like what we're seeing here with Web3 games, right? We're not afraid to go and try something new and be successful with it. So I do really think that there is an opportunity for someone to fill that gap, fill that hole. Now, obviously, with COVID, I think that just put a pretty big squash on any kind of events,
Hmm.
during that time. So that's a hard thing to come back from. Being someone who has large scale event production experience, that's a lot of money and a lot of things that you have to come back from. And, this could be, something like this, like because you got to think about this. They did start doing the event, so it's not like they, just canceled it from the get go. They were scheduled to be doing this
Hmm.
event here pretty soon. I mean, they're canceling pretty close to the event, so you got to think about all the stuff that they started getting ready and deposits and things that they paid and all this stuff. It is significant. So this will be a big blow. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say. I want to say, oh yeah, they'll come back for sure. Honestly, it could just be this is it, dude, and we have to move on, and there's something else that takes its place, which
End of
happens.
an era.
Well, yeah, end of an era, it has to be. Once again, like I said, I think that there sometimes things just kind of get stale, right? Things have an expiration, and events are the same thing. It's crazy. Games, events, it's very similar, right? They're very similar types of experiences. So if you're just creating the same game over and over again, trying to peddle it to the people every year in and out, well, eventually people are just kind of like, man, yeah, we played this one before.
Yeah, I mean, death. No one escapes death, not even E3, right? So who knows if it'll be coming back this year? I'm sure that even if it doesn't, well, one, I'm sure that 3XP is going to be a great success, and that everyone that's going is going to have a great time there. Like Classy said, we're going to have all the friends in town.
Well, yeah, yeah, and you look at something like that too, and GDC this year was like a massively Web3 presence.
Hmm.
There was a
Mm.
huge Web3 presence at GDC. So would it have been the case maybe at E3? Maybe not. But I think that that goes to show you who's leading the way, and it's not the companies that are at an E3.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I wonder what else we'll see pop up in its place. And I want to give a before we're running out of time here, but before we do hop off, I want to give a huge shout out to all the agents we have in chat. I mean, like literally it's like all mustaches in the chat right now.
I
So
love it.
shout out Gen X, shout out True Ducal, yeah. Savage, you're already. I see you in chat. You're on here with us,
I
man.
know we literally got him
Yep.
on here. He's in chat too over there, throwing the emojis.
We got Jaxie, Forbidden Gods, who just joined. That shout out Forbidden Gods for being in chat with us tonight, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
And then
thanks,
you guys on the
agents.
show, man. Thank you for coming out, Savage, Classy, Rustin. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show tonight. For you guys watching, make sure you guys go to the description below. All these guys' channels and socials, and the
Show
links
him the
to everywhere
love.
that their content comes out, linked in the description below. Go ahead and do us a favor and give them a follow and like as well. But that is all we have tonight, folks. This has been another Around the Metaverse. Join us again next week at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on Mondays for next week's episode. But that's it tonight, folks. We out.